In this interview, I talk with Alison Marras from Food by Mars. She has a membership site where she helps busy women eat better. She specializes in helping them with a paleo diet and AIP diet. She sells meal plans for $29, has a $49 a month membership site, and also monetizes her blog traffic with ads. So in this interview, we're going to dive deep into a recent strategy she started that's doubled her email list growth and added $500 recurring revenue. She just installed this 30 days ago. In the last 30 days, it's generated $500 of revenue, all evergreen autopilot. She talks about how she gets more leads. She talked about the campaign marketing strategy she tweaked in order to generate that revenue and what she expects going forward. So hope you enjoy. Okay, so let's start at the top. What's your business? What do you do? What do you sell? Who do you help?
Yeah. So my name's Alison. My business is foodbymars.com, and it is a health and wellness website where it started out as a food blog, and now I'm selling my membership and meal plans and things like that. So I've been monetizing the blog that way, as well as with ad revenue. And I mainly help people looking to use paleo and the autoimmune protocol, or AIP, for their health. So a lot of times it's mainly women looking to take control of their health with their diet.
My wife literally just did AIP diet for 8 weeks.
How is she?
Well, she almost killed every human in sight during doing it, but
It's not easy.
there's not many people that I meet that even know what AIP is. So I didn't.
Yeah.
I saw paleo. I didn't dial into the AIP part specifically. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
I might have some side questions for you. She got
Absolutely. I'm here to
diagnosed
help.
with Hashimoto's a year ago, so she's been working through all kind of stuff to try to fix that. So
Yes, that's what I was diagnosed with years ago when I also started on this. So we have a lot in common.
it's been a journey. So yeah, we'll definitely have to compare notes and get some tips from you.
For sure.
Okay, so you mentioned 3 different ways of monetizing to make sure I tracked with you. Ad revenue on the site itself, membership, and selling one-off meal plans. Is that right?
Correct.
So how does revenue split between the 3 of those?
So right now the membership is driving the most revenue. Ad revenue is nice because it's always been pretty steady and hopefully getting better. The meal plans is a little bit more sporadic, and I really have to push them a lot, I would say. But something, I don't know if we're going to get into it, but my new welcome offer that you guys helped me out with is a meal plan, and that's been killing it. And I think just the way I've been able to present it and make it very simple and, kind of welcome my new members to getting acquainted with that. Because like you said, the AIP diet is very challenging. This stuff is stressful. So anything I can do to alleviate some of that pain for them and take the guesswork out of it has been really good. So yeah, that's overall how it's been going with the revenue.
What's the price point of the meal plan and of the membership?
So the meal plan is $29, and it's for a month long of meal planning, and the membership is $49 a month.
Okay.
And
but
within
the meal planning is a monthly recurring thing as well, right? Or is it a one-off? You get pack of PDFs, take it.
Correct. It's one-off.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So talk about that. You mentioned the welcome offer. I didn't have that in my notes, but go into a little detail of what have been the results from the welcome offer.
So it's only been like an officially 1 month, but I made $500 off of it. And that's way more than I've made that was me doing nothing. Yeah. That was not me on social media talking about it, because it's just a welcome offer. It's just for people who come onto my list. I know that my list growth has been really helpful for it as well. But for the first time, I do feel like my welcome funnel and my series is really dialed in. It's simplified. And it just flows perfectly, and it answers their biggest problems. Whenever I get a reply back to what their biggest problem is, it's always what the meal plan will solve. So it feels really good. Yeah.
So $29, that means you're selling about 15 or so a month on kind of autopilot from new subscribers. Over the last month, how many new subscribers have you gotten? Like how many people went through that sequence?
So I would say about 550 in the last month, which is about double what I used to get.
And what's been the cause of increase?
So I would say it's been partnerships.
Okay. All right.
It's been hugely helpful because I'm working with people that I know have my audience. They have my ideal audience. And I'm looking for ways because some of them are already, they provide meal plans or cookbooks, or they are a food blog. But I've been able to find things that can complement what they're doing. And so it's been an easy yes to just send my, promote each other or send my lead magnet or whatever it is. So that's alone helped me. I haven't done any ads. I haven't done anything else besides
Yeah.
that.
So you did one recent partnership where your email list growth doubled. What was that partnership? Who was the site and how did it work?
So that was Phoenix Helix was the site, and it's an
Yeah.
autoimmune protocol blog, but also she has a podcast and she has a lot of resources. And yeah, so it doubled that one thing doubled my month over month.
And
Like,
y'all did a podcast interview, or what was the partnership?
no, it wasn't even a swap, because I was asking, if she'd be into doing a swap or a podcast, and she was just so swamped with other stuff that she was like, no, but I'd love to promote this for, for
Yeah.
you, because I like it and I think the audience will like it. And it was a mindful eating challenge that I do. It's like a 5-day free challenge that sends an email each day to the people who sign up. And so that way it wasn't necessarily more AIP recipes. It wasn't more of the same that she was already doing. It was not just looking at the what people eat, but how they eat. And so I was able to draft the email for her and, do all this stuff. And actually, that's also worth noting. It wasn't even a full dedicated email about my challenge. It was, she kind of has like a list email that she sends each week. And it was one of the bullet points. And that performed really, really well.
So that drove 250. So if people click the link in that email,
Yep.
they go to a landing page of yours, they enter their email to opt in for a challenge.
Yep.
250 or so people did that.
Yes, over the span of a few days to a week, I would say. And it was definitely all coming from that. So that was huge.
And it just in the welcome sequence, 7 or 8 people from that group bought the welcome offer at $29. So a couple $100 of revenue just immediately from that.
100%. Yeah.
So, okay. So a couple questions. How did you identify her as a potential partner, and what did you do to reach out to her?
So we had like an interwebs relationship, just like keeping in touch over social media. She has like a weekly recipe roundtable that I will submit my recipes to. So she's definitely familiar with me, and we've spoken a couple times. So it was fairly warm, but I knew that her audience was really big and very dedicated. I don't know exactly how big or anything like that, but so I figured it would be great to complement that with the mindful eating, because I didn't see that she had much on it, a little bit in her podcast before, but I figured this could be a really great gift for her audience. And yeah, what was the second question again?
So what did you like? Did you email her saying, "Hey, you know me? How about this?" Like, what was the email? Like, give me kind of a run through of what it said.
It was exactly that. It was kind of like, "Hey, Eileen, thank you so much for sharing my recent recipes on your blog. I'm such a big fan of everything that you're doing." And then I did make sure to, and this is something that you have trained us on, but really just pointing out the things that I love about her brand and why I feel like I can complement them, versus just kind of like coming in hot with like, I want you to promote me. And so I think it felt like a really easy yes or an easy fit because of that. So I kind of pointed out, I love how you are always empowering your audience with not just recipes and tools and things like that, but how to use it. And she's very authentic when she is sharing about her own journey with autoimmune disease and stuff like that. So I just really appreciate that and felt like, I could fill in a gap for her. So it was a pretty easy conversation from there. She was, delighted to share it.
Yeah. So what will happen next with her? Will you try to do something else with her, or what?
So yeah, that's a good question. So next up, she said later in the year when because her podcast waitlist is kind of booked up, and she has some other projects coming up, but she did say later in the year she would love to have me on to talk about mindful eating or my journey with autoimmunity. So that's exciting, and we keep in touch because, like I said, I'm always contributing to her blog or really engaging actively with her on social media, just like always on top of her posts and commenting and stuff like that, to keep in touch and support each other.
Yeah, that's huge. Like just stepping up from email blurb mentioned that generated subscribers and revenue to podcasts to maybe webinar next or guest post or whatever makes sense in the context of her platform. That's totally. I think that's something a lot of people like get a hit with something like that. And maybe it's as big as they want, or maybe it's small and they want. It just kind of depends on their expectations, but then they don't like keep fanning the flames on the relationship, because you can continue doing stuff with her for years and years to come. And some of the big stuff might take years to get there, but I know that's been the case with me. There's been several instances where I did like the equivalent of contributing a recipe. I would do a small guest post or a small guide for someone, did it for years. And then 3 years down the line, we did a big partnership, and generated 35,000 subscribers for us and tons of revenue from it. So it's like, some happen quick, some take longer, some kind of do both, like this, where you get some good immediate result. 6 months later, do an interview. 6 months after that, who knows what'll happen next. So kudos to you for continuing to chase it and stay on the relationship.
Thanks. Yeah. And I like how in the framework, normally maybe we would get on a call and work out like, okay, like, let me understand your goals so that if there's something new coming up for you in 6 months, like we can be planning towards that, because that's the thing, is like the execution will sometimes take a bit of time. So I love that. I never used to do that in the past before working with you guys, because it just felt like constant one-offs. Like you said, like, I'll contribute here. Yeah, sure, I'll do that. It just felt very sporadic and unorganized, and like less of building a relationship towards something bigger. And just more like busy work for me that I didn't understand where it was going. So this feels much better, more organized, more intentional. And like you said, like it's baby steps to working up to even a bigger thing. But it was really nice that this baby step happened to be so successful. So yeah, I was excited about that.
That's cool. Okay. Another partnership you've recently secured. I don't know if it's finished yet, but you got a summit that's getting in front of about 1 million people. So walk me through, like, who is it? How did you get in contact with them? What's happened so far? What do you expect to happen? Give me kind of the details.
Yeah. So this is like a friend, again, like just sort of nurturing these relationships. So this is a friend, and I've done her summits before. Her name's Dr. Nancy Kroll. And she's similar in that she provides a lot of like gut health content on social media and to her clients, or her patients rather. So she'll usually once a year do some kind of a summit. And this year she was able to, by building such great relationships, get enough of a pool of people that had a really big audience to be able to leverage it. And so it was about 1 million in reach. So she actually reached out to me in the middle of me doing all these partnerships and stuff to ask if I'd like to join this time around. And I was like, yes, I would. So that's literally going live tomorrow. So I'll let you know how it goes. Yeah. So I'm excited.
We'll have to do an appendix on the end once we hear results and how it went for you, to give people the results.
Yeah.
Okay. So she reaches out to you. She knows you're in the space. You've kind of known of her. Y'all stayed in touch a little bit. She puts together a summit. She recruits a ton of people from her industry. She invites you on. What is your contribution there? Are you doing like an interview or teaching, or what's the format?
It's just a 30-minute interview. And what's great is her avatar is the same as mine, busy women who are struggling with their health. So she keeps it 30 minutes, really concise. It's like I'm teaching 3 keys to boosting your energy through nutrition without restriction. So that it's just like a really easy conversation like you and I are having, basically recorded, and then she shares it with a freebie. So I created my opt-in page, to include my time-saving meal prep, which felt pretty complimentary to the conversation. And so that's what I got my fingers crossed on to see how that goes.
And that'll be the way you generate leads from it, versus and organic stuff. People just hearing your name and going to your site or something, but that'll be the direct CTA in the interview when it's released.
Exactly.
Do you have an expectation? Any idea what to expect?
I'm keeping in touch with her, and she's saying things are going okay. But I think in general, summits, like health summits, and for anyone who's familiar with that space, it's not what it once was. I think they used to be so popular and people were really signing up for them. Everyone is on the hook to share a certain amount of times to their audience. So my conversion rates were really great. But I think she was saying it's a bit of a mixed bag with the other people. So I don't have like any expectations per se. When I first did it with her, I was still starting out and my email list was so small, and I got 2,000 email subscribers in that 1 week. Yeah. And so that kind of set the tone where I'm like, oh, if I could just do a summit a year or, do that. But it's been way less since then. So it could be, who knows? It could be anywhere in between.
Yeah, summits are interesting because they are probably the most complicated partnership type to execute. Not from the guest, like your side is easy, it's like a podcast interview, but from the person hosting it. And I found like, man, if you aren't just an extremely organized person or have a good team to help run it, it's easy for super small stuff to like just kill results on it. They're not easy to do. and to do
Exactly.
well, especially if you're in a competitive industry that has lots of them going on, because you got to keep the hooks fresh. You got to keep the email marketing. All the marketing just has to be on point if it's super competitive.
Absolutely.
But I also found, I don't know, in my space, this is the case, and don't know the health space as well, or the state of summits there. Um, since they're so hard to execute, there's not as many of them. Like it's not like a
Yeah.
Facebook ad you could run or whatever. Like to do a really quality one takes legit time because you're coordinating 20 to 50 people,
Hmm.
partnership promo plans with each one of them, trying to hustle those and run them really well. Like it's easy to drop balls on them. But man, if executed well, probably one of the single most effective events you can do. But to
Yeah.
repeat them every year and to keep them, and it's like running a conference, but
Exactly.
you don't have the pressure of in person, so it's easy to mail it in and have it not be,
Right.
don't have your promo plans tied in with people really well, so the really big people don't mail, or they mail in a PS line or something lame.
Totally.
So I'll be rooting for you. Hopefully we'll get
Thank
2000
you.
again. That'd be great.
I know that would be epic.
Yeah, that's good. So what has been different about partnerships for you versus other marketing strategies you've tried? Like, why are you drawn to that?
Yeah. Something that really drew me to it, because I've tried a lot. I've done Facebook ads, whether it's, warm to my audience or cold lookalikes. And I've done lots of organic, just like constant putting myself out there on social and everything. What feels really great about this is I love networking. I've always loved networking and just making friends within my space and supporting one another. So I like that. And so you're building that relationship. And like you said, it can lead to so much more. It's like opening a door to who knows what in the future, right? So I really like that. Secondly, the quality of the leads is probably some of the best, because if I've done the research and I can see like, oh, this person has a ton of my audience, if I can help provide something really valuable and then really nurture that relationship with these new leads coming in, it's going to be a home run. And I've already seen that a little bit, like some small signups for the membership coming in saying like, oh, I found out about you through this, I found out about you through that. And I was like, awesome. So that feels really good, because automatically I know that they're a like person probably struggling with their health, probably autoimmune, probably Hashimoto's, maybe some gut health. Like right away, it's like they're already speaking my language, and there's so much less education that I have to do, so much less vetting to be like, oh, maybe this person's not right for the membership and I should you know, rejigger my messaging or something like that. It's just easy. You already have a lot of that done for you by partnering with the right people. So that's been hugely valuable. Also, it's free, I would say.
It's nice.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
so you don't have to necessarily pay and cross your fingers.
Not a lot of downside if it doesn't work one time. If you miss on one and you don't produce results, it's like you're out 30 minutes. So not that big of a
Exactly.
deal.
And I even did one recently with a friend where we were like, you know what, let's just try selling our programs outright. And I was like, I don't know, but okay. And like we did it and it wasn't that great. And I was like, all right, like maybe we'll try again. We'll just do a lead magnet swap,
Yeah.
after a month or so. So it's also like you get to try new stuff with
Mhm.
friends and colleagues. So
Yeah. What's your plan going forward
for
for
anything specific
partnerships?
or in general?
Yeah, for partnerships.
Keep at it.
Yeah.
I literally just filled out my like 90-day review,
Yeah.
and that has been hands down like the biggest thing that has grown my business this whole quarter. Um, and it's like I said, it's been the most fun, even though, yes, okay, it's work, you have to execute on it. It's not going to be like, overnight hands off, but it's been the most rewarding that you can see, okay, the ROI is there. That's where I need to spend more time. So my plan is to delegate a little bit more some of the tasks that keep me very busy and in the weeds, so that I'm able to really even hike it up even more this quarter with partnerships. And to definitely follow up on the ones that I've already been, like the one that I mentioned with Phoenix Helix and other ones, but just to keep those relationships going and keep checking in and, really asking about their business too, I think is a big deal when you're not just, hey, I have something coming out, can you help me? It's like this desperate thing versus, oh no, I've already been nurturing these relationships. I helped them, maybe they can help me. So that's what I think I'm planning for
Yeah.
next.
Random in the weeds question. How does someone go from, all right, I listened to an interview or I watched the summit. I get your lead magnet. Now I'm on your list. I'm going through your welcome offer. Some of those people buy, most don't. How do I then get your membership site? How do you promote it?
Yeah. So that's a good question because that's something. So right now I'm going through the webinar
Mhm.
process.
Yep.
I have launched with webinar before, but I'm really excited to do it this new way. It
Mhm.
seems a lot more appropriate, less teaching because that was always my problem. I teach too much.
Yeah.
So that's going to be one way. They're going to get invites to the webinar. And then what I've been doing and playing around with, and I'm still figuring it out, is I'm trying to promote the things that we're doing inside the membership. So most recently for April, doing a spring detox. So week leading up to it, I would say, both on social and an email, I'm like, hey, who needs a spring detox? Like, come and join us this month. Um, and I got like 14 people in by
Well,
doing that. So it wasn't too shabby. It wasn't bad. Um, and so that's essentially where I'm at. I don't necessarily have a sequence set up for it or anything, but that is something I'm brainstorming. Like, what can I do, especially for the people who bought the meal plan? They already see how my meal plan is, and then they can kind of upgrade and get the full shebang if they join the membership.
couple of quick ideas just to put in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
Doing the monthly webinar, good for sure. You
Mhm.
should be able to clean up, 10 to 30 a month just from that.
Great.
Just promote the same webinar to your list because there's 500 to 1,000 new people every month, and people seeing it over and over again is a good thing.
Awesome.
Second one is it'd be really interesting to try. You have 10 to 20 people a month buying the welcome sequence offer, the meal plan
Yeah.
stuff, is giving them with that a free trial to the membership.
Mhm.
um, and obviously let them know when it's coming up for renewal, but have that auto convert to membership, so you're not
Right.
having to sell them twice. You're not having to sell the initial upfront thing, but you also from the beginning they're getting that plus a 30-day trial that starts them into the membership
Mm.
site. That way every meal plan you ever sell also has a somewhere between 30 and 60% conversion rate to the membership without any more marketing, because you do the marketing on the front end with the meal plan stuff. You sell them one time on that, they get the immediate deliverable, and they get a 30-day trial of the membership site that auto renews after
Mm.
30. Educate them, make sure they know about it, make sure you're not tricking people into the membership site, all that stuff. But
Right.
I would heavily consider that. Like if your upfront offer selling, it is easier to sell typically an upfront offer like that than it is a membership site, because membership sites have so much stuff in them. It's hard to describe what it is because there's so many things it
Exactly.
can do. And that becomes a problem on the sell side to distill it down to the one thing it does. Meal
Yeah.
plans, easy. They do one thing, they meal plan. But they
Mhm.
also, if you can introduce them in that, and it could be a 14-day trial, a 7-day trial, it doesn't have to be 30 days. But
Right.
if you can get them to make the purchase decision here to help you to get you to help them solve the problem
Yeah.
once, they get the deliverable and they get a 7-day trial of this thing that typically costs $50 a month.
Yeah.
An alarm going off. I would try that. I've seen that work over and over and over again. The times we've done recurring subscription
It's a great
stuff, we've tried
idea.
that and it works almost every time. And you have a steady flow of those coming in. That could be another 7 to 10 a month from your welcome sequence alone,
That's
new
perfect.
members. So you could have two cleanup things. You have your webinar that's running
Yeah.
monthly. You have your new subscriber sequence that gets your upfront sales and your membership sales. And
Mhm.
then you probably need at least twice a year, just a big promotion. You
Yeah.
literally just make a big deal about it for 10 days and tell everybody about it, and have, Black Friday promotion, or maybe New Year's for you probably makes more sense with health stuff.
Yeah.
Going into summer potentially with, warm weather and beach stuff. But
Yeah.
we can work on that on coaching stuff. But those are just two random ideas for you, thinking
No,
about
that's
how can we
that's
tie into
great.
what we're already doing. We don't have to make them. I don't want them to have to decide to purchase from you twice. How could we get them to decide to purchase once? That's easier.
Exactly.
So, um,
Exactly. Oh, I
but
love
it's
that.
tricky with membership in that it's hard to,
Yeah.
you have to talk more about it
It
typically.
is. There's so much, and then
Mhm.
you end up overwhelming the person who's too busy to do all this stuff.
Yep.
So, yeah, I've been so like adamant about that in the webinar, in the pitching slides, to be like, I love your language, not to like give away all this
No,
stuff
you're
that
fine.
you've taught me, but I've done so many programs. I
Yeah.
have a bachelor's in marketing. Like, it's kind of embarrassing how much I've invested at this point. I feel like sometimes with business coaching, but this time has been different because I feel like you guys really focus me. Every week I am focused. I have a to-do list. That's a game changer in its own. But then secondly, things feel more concise, more simplified than other programs I've done where it's like 10 days of emails just to get them to show up to this webinar, and you got everything writing on it, and then like it didn't perform the
Right.
best. Where this feels a lot more repeatable and just easy and exciting for people to come and join. So I'm really stoked to try it. And I think those are great ideas, just to have like a well-oiled machine.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I was kind of circling back to with simplifying the message for membership, definitely key, because there's so much going on. So some of the language you use is like, I'll help you do this. I'll give you this. That alone, when I'm practicing my presentation, I'm like, I want this. Like, that's great. So yeah, anyway.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
Any parting advice for someone thinking about using partnerships to generate leads and sell their product? Anything you would tell them now that you've done several that have been successful, generated revenue from them, seen momentum with it? Somebody who's listening to this thinking like, all right, I could probably like show up and be interviewed somewhere, especially if that leads to sales and revenue for me. What advice would you give them?
I would say don't underestimate how powerful it can be. And like I was kind of saying back in the day, I was just kind of doing them one-off sporadically when I was reminded like, oh yeah, that's a big deal. Do that. Versus having a system, really committing to it, knowing weekly you need to pitch X amount of people, and really just like really committing to that, and try to maybe delegate. And this is what I'm in the middle of. I'm not like a pro, but trying to just like delegate the other stuff, because if you're not filling up the top of your funnel with qualified good leads, you know, what are you doing with all the other stuff, with all the other busy work? And that's kind of what I'm trying to remind myself of. So, you know, just like don't underestimate it, spend the time, and know that it can open up to so much more. Because I think one of the even more valuable things is the partnership itself, like knowing, hey, all year, couple times, you know, 3 times a year, I know you've got a campaign coming up, then I've got something, I got a book coming out. And you can just know you can hit that person up at that point, or you can be planning towards it. So it's not just a one-off that you've spent all this time for. It's going to be so much more. So it's just so valuable.
Awesome. Hey, a random tie-in to the last thing you said before this question. I calculated the other day, I've spent over $100,000 on business coaching, training, courses, coaches. I'm like, good heavens, that's an MBA degree.
Right? That's so true. It's like, I didn't go for my MBA, and with all that, I'm like, oh my God. Yeah.
But honestly, I mean, I read this book in January called Storyworthy. It was a book on how to tell stories, written by this master storyteller guy. He's like won 56 storytelling championships or grand slams.
Wow.
I didn't even know that was a thing, but
yeah.
So I read the book.
Contest for everything.
Yeah. I was like, all right, what if I just hired him to coach me? So I just reached out to him. He doesn't really do coaching, and pay him a little bit a month. And I do a Facebook Live on the Facebook page it's really just for me to like practice storytelling. And I send him a link, and he critiques it. And that's like such a fast forward in trying to build that skill set, which is a core marketing and sales skill set, is just being able to tell a story that generates aha moments and transformations for people. So just like stuff like that. I mean, it's like the biggest fast forward in business for me in life has been hiring marriage coaches. And we're going to a new one tonight. We have a marriage counselor we're going to that she's hardcore into the Enneagram, which is something we got into.
Ooh, I've been getting into that. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's like a marriage counselor that specializes in Enneagram. We're like, that sounds cool. Let's go do that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Don't know what we'll learn. They might be a dud, who knows, but it'll be fun. So that's fun. Kudos to you for taking the time to do that. And I think, you know, hopefully our program helps. And you mentioned that, but there's a quote. I'm like a hoarder of quotes. I heard it the other day, and it was, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I think a lot of like the aha moments are simply like, I was actually finally ready to hear it. And everything before that was just kind of prepping me for that moment of getting ready for that. So, you know, everything you've done previously leads up to this, and, you know, there'll be a lot going forward as well. So hopefully we can help you with that as you go forward. So
totally.
Anyway, thank you so much for doing this. This is great. I appreciate you sharing your story, and thank you. All right. Thanks for listening to my conversation with Alison Marras. If you want to check out her business, head to foodbymarras.com. If you want my team and me to audit your business, find the partnership opportunities that you have, and coach you through executing them, just like we did with Alison, let's talk. Go to growthtools.com/apply. We'll set up a free strategy call. We'll talk through your business, show you how this same approach of borrowing other people's audiences could work for your business, and see if it's a good fit to work together. So go to growthtools.com/apply and book that call now. Talk to you soon.